The ministry was responding to a report which found that 1 in 10 Singapore households experienced food insecurity at least once in the past year. So that means that they did not have or weren't confident of having enough nutritious food. The study released by Food Bank Singapore and Singapore Management University surveyed some 1,200 households. The report found that over 60% of these vulnerable families lived in 1 and 2 room HDB flats, compared to around 25% of those who were secure. The heads of such households were more likely to have less education. 35% of them did not attain secondary school certificates, compared to 27% for food secure households. More than 20% of them were receiving food support. Now, some of them said they were embarrassed to seek help or were unaware of support available. Others believed they were less in need of help than other people. Food insecurity was also associated with physical and mental health conditions. Nearly half of the food insecure respondents reported feeling unwell or lethargic due to a lack of food. The survey also found that the haves and have-nots were unlikely to mix. Only 1 in 5 food-secure households had connections with those that were food insecure. To help improve the overall situation, researchers proposed to map the locations of vulnerable neighborhoods to better support those at risk of being hungry. And there's also a need for help to be more tightly coordinated. They also recommended more information and education on food insecurity so that people would empathize and be more aware. And there were calls for healthy eating campaigns to be amplified, as well as a closer look into whether healthier food was more expensive, as that was one of the main reasons why people avoided them. Now, for a closer look, we're joined by Nichol, co-founder of the Food Bank Singapore, and Dr. Dalvin Sidhu, Program Manager of Research at Lien Centre Social Innovation at Singapore Management University. Thank you very much for joining us. Dr. Sidhu, I want to start with you. So, one of the recommendations suggests mapping out the vulnerable households as well as coordinating food support more strategically. Can you tell us more about that? Can you elaborate on this? Well, we seem to have lost our connection.
Food support organizations. Hello?
Yes, Dr. Dalvin, please go ahead.
Yes, so a geographical areas where vulnerable households reside would actually enable food support organizations to visualize neighborhoods of greater need and provide support more effectively. So attention also has to be paid to specific circumstances of food insecure households so that the right type of support actually reaches the right households. So for example, ration packs should be given to those with means and health to cook. Stay-at-home seniors with mobility issues should be provided with culturally appropriate cooked food, so so that they are able to consume the food. Such mapping helps to create a less stigmatized food aid environment and also mitigate the sense of embarrassment with those reaching for help. So on a national level, the food support ecosystem would better coordination. This would require a multi-sector partnership between key players in the space. So we're talking about government bodies, social organizations, and partnerships can form of that work where each relevant player comes together, share information, pool resources, needs assessment on who are the funding for food and monetary donations, food distributions, as well as volunteer mobilization. So the focus should be on the need to pool resources together for the common good and leverage on the strength of each player. On this note, I think we're very hard and food support organizations such as the Food Bank, Food from the Heart, Free Food for All, and Willing Hearts are partnering on the Charity Food Work Group, which is essentially a cross-sector work.
Okay, well, let's get Nichol's thoughts on this then. We understand, Nichol, that the Food Bank is part of a multi-sector work group looking at enhancing food support and coordination. Now, tell us, though, some of the challenges or difficulties that you face with this.
Firstly, I must say, I think it's It's a couple of years too late. We should have done something a few years earlier on. Because for sure, in Singapore, it's easy to get food aid. There's ample food donations all around. The problem is that there isn't an integrated system. So a lot of us, we have been, especially the larger charities like ourselves, we have actually encountered households where there was duplicated aid that was dished out as well. And I felt that this is even more essential to look at because with the economic situation that the world is facing right now, every dollar really, really counts. And so we should actually allow our donations to stretch further by ensuring that the food actually reaches the right people without any duplication at all. And I think through the survey, we have also kind of find out that about 80%, 70% of the people also mentioned that they do not get any food aid at all. So where are they getting help for food, or do they just go hungry? This is really a concern that I personally have.
Well, so Nichol, in your opinion then, who should take the lead in terms of getting food to those who need it? Now, is it the government or charities like Food Bank?
Yes, I think this has been left to the social sectors, the NGOs, for too long already. So a lot of us, and honestly, prior to this charity food task force that was set up last year, actually, all of us are just working independently. We just assume that maybe MSF might have some information, but we also realized, I think about 2 years ago, before we started this in-depth study, that nobody really had information and clarity into this area. And for us, which is why it was so important for us to know, because we work so hard, and not just us, but the other peers in our NGO sector as well, we're working so hard to feed everyone that we know. But are we doing the right thing, and are we filling the gaps appropriately? So until this research came about, this is just the first baby step. We feel that there's a lot more work that needs to be done on the ground. But to answer you quickly, I think in the post-COVID world or during the COVID world, it's something that we need to do together, and the government themselves cannot do it alone.
And Dr. Dalvin, Sidhu, your thoughts on this as well? Is this something that the government needs to get actively involved in and perhaps lead as well?
Yes, so I think the key word here is it being a partnership, where we look at the strengths of each partner and leverage these diverse strengths for the common good and mutual benefit of all.
Okay, and how about the importance of awareness of food security? Food is in abundance here in Singapore. Nichol mentioned as well that it's not so much the problem of food, but actually getting it to those people in need. Do you think there needs to be more awareness for the general population to know that there are people that food is just not reaching?
Yes, so awareness of food insecurity is critical. I think it may be seen as the first essential step towards getting communities together to resolve the problem of food insecurity. So it is only when we are equipped with knowledge and that information is backed with empirical data that we know better and that we can do better. So our study actually found that 62.2% of food insecure households are not seeking food assistance. So that is quite a large percentage. And the top three reasons given were embarrassment. They are unaware of the food support that's available, if that others are of greater need. So awareness is important here because it can help prevent misconceptions for those who are food insecure, and this can contribute to create a less food support and support to tackle food insecurity in Singapore.
Okay, well, thank you very much for both of your thoughts this evening. We're joined by Nichol Ng, co-founder of the Food Bank Singapore, and Dr. Dalvin Sidhu, Program Manager of Research at Lien Centre Social Innovation at Singapore Management University. And we do apologise for Dr. Dalvin Sidhu's audio during that interview.